Welcome to Baka Recap, where we recap all your favorite anime. Sit back and enjoy. Beginning with a young man named Denji, we first meet him as he awakes from his sleep. He immediately heads out to earn some money as he is heavily indebted. Denji calculates how much he still owes after he deducts the money he earns from cutting down trees, as well as how much he was paid for his kidney and his right eye. Looking at his bank book, Denji realizes he still owes over 38 million yen. It is at this moment that we meet Pochita, Denji's chainsaw devil companion. Pochita growls in anticipation of hunting down a nearby devil. Denji uses Pochita's chainsaw to hunt down devils in exchange for money, and admits devil hunting pays the best since a good devil goes for about 300,000 yen. Denji revs up Pochita as they corner a lone tomato devil who turns and locks onto them. This is the first time we see a devil. After the tomato devil is defeated, we now meet the Yakuza boss who congratulates Denji on his bounty. Denji is excited to hear that he will get 400,000 yen for his bounty. But after debt payment, interest and fees, he is left with only 70,000 yen. Denji checks his wallet on the way back home and finds he has very little money. Denji tells Pochita that dinner tonight will only be a slice of bread. Denji walks past a car with the Yakuza boss and his driver inside. The driver wonders why the boss hires a little punk to hunt devils, but the Yakuza boss explains that he owes a large debt his late father left behind. Plus, most devil hunters wouldn't give their bounties to the Yakuza, but Denji is obedient and does what he's told. The driver catches up to Denji and tests his desperation and obedience by offering him 100 yen to swallow his cigarette. Denji does not hesitate and throws the cigarette in his mouth. The driver laughs at Denji and drives off. Denji spits out the cigarette he pretended to swallow and tells Pochita that now they have enough money for 3 days. As Denji and Pochita take a rest from the rain, they are seen eating a slice of bread for dinner. Denji dreams about one day having jam with his bread but doesn't think that'll ever happen. He doesn't think he'll ever be with a girl in his life either, but wishes that one day it will happen. Denji reminisces about a past memory in a field. Denji stands before his father's grave. The Yakuza boss sits in a car nearby and threatens Denji to pay off his father's loan or he will chop him up. Then he drives off. Denji then hears the sound of a chainsaw. He turns and sees Pochita, who is still wild, appear from behind a tree. Denji backs away in fear but falls backward. He surrenders to Pochita and says he has nothing left to live for. Denji looks back and sees Pochita lying on his side with a stomach wound. Denji tries to save Pochita and offers him a bite of his arm to save his life. Pochita struggles to stand but eventually walks toward Denji. He bites Denji's arm. Denji tells Pochita his blood isn't free. By saving his life, he tells Pochita he has to return the favor. Sometime later, Denji drops the marshmallow devil on the ground before the Yakuza boss while holding Pochita. He asks the Yakuza boss to hire him as a hunter in order to pay off his debt. In the present, at Denji's residence, Denji tries to sleep but can't. He can't stop thinking about his debt and his dream of eating bread with jam and one day meeting a girl. Denji sits up and coughs up blood. Denji remembers how a heart condition runs in his family, which is how his mother passed. The Yakuza boss knocks on his door and tells him that he has a job for him. Later that night, in the city, Denji and Pochita ride in the Yakuza boss's car. They go for a long drive outside of the city. They arrive at an abandoned factory and walk inside. Denji wonders where the devils are hiding since he doesn't see any movement. The Yakuza boss stops walking and tells Denji he values him like an obedient dog. But like a dog, he can't tolerate the stench. As he stood there confused, a devil pierced Denji and Pochita from behind, severely wounding them both. The Yakuza boss explains he copied Denji and teamed up with a devil himself. The zombie devil grabs the Yakuza boss and lifts him into the air. Then he emerges from the shadows and explains that he wants to see every devil hunter perish. He tells Denji that the Yakuza are total suckers. He offered them a little bit of demonic power, little did they know they would turn into zombies. We now see a room full of undead Yakuzas slowly make their way to a wounded Denji. Denji gets up and struggles to run for the exit. More zombies appear in front of him, so Denji makes a desperate sharp turn. He now sees the exit and knocks over obstacles for the zombies. A zombie catches up to him and slashes him in the back. Denji falls to the ground. The zombies begin plunging their weapons into Denji as he screams in agony. Denji's final thoughts are about just wanting a basic normal life, but now knows he will never have it. Sometime later, Denji's wounded body and Pochita are thrown into a dumpster. Blood runs down from Denji's mouth and into Pochita's mouth. Pochita wakes up. Pochita remembers a time when they were working in a forest. They take a break to eat some bread after a hard day's work, cutting down trees. Denji tells Pochita that if anything ever happens to him, he can take his body to protect himself, since he won't be around to help him. In the present, Pochita fuses with Denji's body and begins to reassemble it. Denji meets with Pochita in his subconscious. Pochita tells Denji he loves hearing him talk about his dreams. He says he won't take his body, instead, he will give Denji his heart so he can go on living, just as long as he gets to witness Denji achieve his dreams. That is the new deal. Denji then wakes up in the dumpster and realizes he's alive and sees Pochita's tail sticking out of his chest. The zombies turn and face Denji as he stands there in the dumpster. The zombie devil realizes Denji is still alive after being cut to pieces. He tells him how much he hates devil hunters because of how persistent they are, and then sends the zombies after him again. Denji steps out of the dumpster just as a mob of zombies run towards him. Denji thinks about Pochita one last time before the mob of zombies reach him. Denji gets angry that Pochita is gone and then pulls on the cord in his chest just before the mob of zombies jump on him. It appears as though Denji has gone down again, but moments later, we hear the sound of chainsaws revving up. Denji explodes out of the pile of zombies. He now has a chainsaw sticking out of his head and both of his arms have chainsaws attached. The zombie devil can't believe his eyes. Denji then leaps from the pile of zombies and cuts into the zombie devil's eye. He gets thrown across the room into a beam and falls on the ground. Denji begins cutting through the zombies as they run towards him. Denji's onslaught continues as he makes his way towards the zombie devil. The zombie devil begins throwing zombies at Denji, hoping to slow him down. This doesn't stop Denji, who is now on a killing spree. Denji charges through the mob of zombies, cutting them down, one by one. Denji leaps through the air and cuts through the zombie devil's tendrils. His chainsaw cuts all the way down and he leaps towards the devil's face. Denji then cuts down the middle of the zombie devil's head, splitting him in half. He looks at the aftermath of what he's done, and then at the remaining devil zombies. He reminds them they hired him to do a job and he's still on the clock. He pulls the cord in his chest and continues his rampage, slicing into devil after devil as he laughs like a maniac. The following morning we see a car arrive at the warehouse. They park behind the Yakuza boss's car. 3 people enter the warehouse to find a gruesome massacre inside. Dozens of dismembered zombie devils are scattered everywhere. They lock eyes on Denji and notice one devil is still alive. The woman, who we later know as Makima, walks up to Denji, unafraid. She explains that his scent is odd, it's not one of a human nor a devil. She asks if this was his doing. Denji pleads for Makima to hold him as he is about to collapse. She grabs onto Denji, hugging him close. The devil hybrid parts begin to melt off his head and body. The devil hunters behind Makima ask if he's possessed, but she says no. She knows he's not possessed because he has a normal face. She lays Denji down and tells him she works for public safety as an official devil hunter and came to slay the zombie devil. She gives Denji two options. She can slay him right there and lead his body with the rest of the dead zombies, or he can work for her hunting devils. Denji takes a look at the dead zombies and then asks Makima what's on the breakfast menu. She tells him bread with butter and jam along with a lot of other delicious food. Denji can't believe his ears and realizes one of his dreams is finally going to come true. This is where the episode ends. If you enjoyed our Baka Recap, please like and subscribe and tell us your favorite moment and what you would like us to recap next. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
ふざけんなよ、バカ